Thanks so much for sharing your garden with us. It's always great to see such a bountiful space. So again, a real pleasure. Right now we're going to be talking about the fall vegetable garden, and I'm joined by Randy Jewart. Randy is with resolutiongardens.org, and it's great to have you with us. So thanks for being here.
Thanks. I was excited to get the chance to talk about fall gardening.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to have you back here. I first met you, Randy, through the Green Art project you were doing in Austin for years, and you actually brought a piece today that's going to help us make this kind of transition. It's a scarecrow, but a really kind of, I would say, an Austin-looking kind of scarecrow.
That's how we've always done our art projects.
Yeah.
Is very Austin style, with
Right.
reused materials and lots of funky designs, and getting artists to think about environmental things, not
Right.
just their studio practice. So artists are trying some things that maybe they're not as familiar with. So
Right.
it's always fun.
So we're going to have a scarecrow contest for one of your endeavors here, right?
Yeah, it's fun getting to talk to you because I'm trying to bring the art part back into our world, because I've gone so gung ho into food that we're trying to get back into it, and we have a cultural project called Scarecrow.
Okay.
And we're hoping to create something that just inspires the community. We don't want to own the idea of it. We just figure everybody really needs to know that fall gardening is the beginning of the planting year, and we need some sort of kickoff and
Okay.
some celebratory
Okay.
aspects.
Scarecrow should work. Well, we are in a time of transition in our area gardens. The summer harvest, which we have a beautiful illustration of. You've brought a lot of the things we're enjoying at the end of the summer right now. But it is already deep into the fall garden time for a lot of folks. A lot of people have already done their soil prep, and they're ready to go.
Yes.
But for somebody who may be a little behind the eight ball and are just now turning their attention to the fall garden, they have a space, they haven't touched it for a while, or it's filled with dead tomatoes or whatever. What do they do?
Well, luckily September, October is a pretty open window, even into November if you're really, really late. The brassica group of plants, which is broccoli, cauliflower, kale, collard greens, cabbage, you can start all that stuff safely from transplant, and it's going to do fine all winter long and into spring.
Sure. Well, those are just some of the different things that you can use. And what you're doing right now in terms of business is with Resolution Gardens is really helping people who, there are lots of busy families out there. Lots of people want to have some of that bounty that we just saw on their tables, but their lives are so hectic they can't really do that. So you're helping them by putting in raised beds and teaching them how to container garden, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, our motto is grow food will help any way you want to do it. We've put gardens up on the balconies of the condo buildings. We've helped people with little tiny container projects.
Right.
And then we've helped people who wanted to tear up their whole entire front yard and be a part of our farm project to do those sorts of things. And, it's like you said, we started the idea 3.5 years ago. We wanted to be a part of the movement too, so we were getting involved in gardening, and we were building things, and realized, people are just not going to have time to do all this, or maybe they don't have a pickup truck, or maybe they don't have the
tools.
power tools to
Right.
do the basic carpentry stuff. So we were like, well, let's just try to build a platform that we can help with whatever people need. Is it the planning? Is it digging out coastal Bermuda grass?
Right.
Is it
And
building a
don't go
little
there.
raised bed box?
Right. Well, it sounds like a great model. And again, this is a great time of year for people to consider getting started or renewing. And I kind of got sidetracked there for a second. I wanted to make sure we mentioned Resolution Gardens. But we're talking about the things that people can use right now. And whether it's in the container or in raised bed settings, there's plenty of stuff to plant. You mentioned the brassicas. So let's talk about some of the other kinds of things that are out there. Maybe a little late for some things, like tomatoes and chilies, right?
It is. that stuff, it's funny because you can be starting a fall crop of tomatoes right in the middle of the heat of the summer
Right.
and thinking that you're crazy, but those plants kind of do a reverse growth with the temperatures dropping, and when it comes into October, then
Right.
those plants will set some fruit.
I always think of the lettuces and the leaf crops.
Absolutely. And, even September is sometimes a little too hot to start spinach.
Yeah, right.
We went through a season where we seeded spinach seeds every week, 3 weeks in a row, and didn't get any germination. And we went up to Gabriel Valley Nursery to pick up some other plants, and we were telling them about this trouble we were having. And they said, well, it's still too hot. Those seeds cannot germinate if it's that hot. And, we're all new to this too. We were like, what? And they said, they have to put the flats of spinach into the refrigerator to get them to germinate so that they can have spinach starts for the nurseries.
Interesting.
So, waiting until October and even the end of October for spinach is
Right.
going to be fine.
So, we're trying to sell people on this notion of the fall crop and the winter crop, really, too. And then we talk about lettuces and spinach, that something can harvest all winter long. What do, if they, again, getting them back around to the idea, they have this blank slates, or they have maybe rows in their garden that need to be renewed. What do you use in your soil blends?
Well, I know you said you wanted to get beyond compost, but I have to just say, use compost.
Yeah, right.
But then on top of compost, which, you should be trying to make yourself, because we've all got, waste that we don't want to be putting in the landfill. So
Sure.
we use the sort of pelletized fertilizers, the 824, the 464, whichever blend. It's good, without overdoing it, to be
Yeah.
refreshing your trace minerals with some green sand or copperas, or they have Minerals Plus. It's
Yeah.
like a mix of some of
If
those
you use
trace
it all
minerals.
the time, it's good stuff. Even just granite sand can be,
Right.
it's readily available and a great way to provide minerals and drainage for people who, especially if you have clay, it's a good amendment that way.
Sure.
So freshen things up, go ahead and plant in succession, right, in the fall. That's really important.
Yeah, I mean, because we try not to make things complicated for people, we tell people it's fun to try to start things from seed. And then if you're not having good results, you can always fall back on, running to the nursery and getting some starts. You could start some seeds in trays, in the windowsill or whatever, and try to direct seed some stuff because it's cheaper and it's more fun, to plant seeds and kind of nurse them along.
I think that's when people always ask me, is it better to have seeds or transplants? And I kind of will respond based on kind of their personality type.
Right.
If they just want something quick and easy, I say get a transplant.
Exactly.
But if they're the nurturing type that really are into it,
Yeah.
seeds are the way to go.
And then, root crops is also fall.
You're right.
So carrots and beets and turnips and kohlrabis are all things that you generally start from seed anyway. I have started to see beet starts at the nurseries, which kind of surprised me. But
it's cool.
Again, it's great because some people, we're all getting back into this as a culture. It helps to have the plant there when you start your garden, and you can see it and you're taking care of it.
Okay, real briefly, your favorite things to grow in containers.
So containers, herbs, and I brought a few herbs.
Right, some catnip and then others.
And lettuces are probably the sort of typical grow lettuce in containers. Spinach, kale does pretty well in container.
Yeah, and
for the fall.
And they're beautiful in containers too. The kales, the lettuces, things like that make beautiful container gardens.
Fall is green season.
Got to wrap it up, Randy. But thank you so much for coming on Central Texas Gardener. It's Randy Jewart from Resolution Gardens. Thanks so much again for being our guest.
Thanks for having me, and go Scarecrow, Fall Garden.
All right, coming up next is our friend Daphne.